Again, in our Being Brave series, you are leading and not following. You're going to have to stand on being that leader. So you're watching for conscious people, you're watching for unconscious people, and remembering that you were the only one there when God gave the vision. At some point, you're going to need a team, even if you get a team of one outside of yourself, a team of one where it's someone who can make posts and read the post and the comments. Feedback is very important, especially in the early stages of development, because you want to be relevant. However, if you are not emotionally stable, if your ego is not strong enough, you may be thrown off for a couple of days, hours, or a couple of weeks on some of the comments. Get someone who can read the comments and not share them with you. They can respond if needed, a response, or they can move on. Because at some point, you're going to have to remember that there's always going to be some criticism, whether critical or helpful. Criticism is always going to be out there. Keep this in mind. Usually, the people who criticize do it for two reasons. One is the obvious, they're jealous. Two, people will criticize again because they were not there when you were given the vision. So they don't understand what you're called to do, and they think they have a right to question it. So they will, in a sense, have negative, derogatory statements. And usually those are the same people who are not doing anything on their own. So they sit around to look to make posts or comments about what other working people are doing because they're not doing anything. So at some point, you may want to gather a team, someone who can. Maybe you can't afford a payroll yet, but they can be an intern. They can learn of your work and learn some leadership skills, and they'll devote a few hours a week to you volunteering so that they can learn some leadership styles. Maybe they want to learn how to type, or they want to learn how to do videography. They can learn all that by trial by error, working with you, because you are a grassroots just starting up. What an opportunity for someone. And when they're ready to move on, encourage their movement. Encourage them to move on. They've learned great skill from you and offered you a service that you could not afford to pay for. So when they have an opportunity that's come their way, encourage them to go. Number two, I'm sorry, still with that, have someone else read the comments. But understanding this with comments and critique, critique can be the gravy on your turkey for Thanksgiving. It can. It can be very helpful. Though emotionally, again, you have to be stable enough to read it or have someone else do it for you. And they do not need to report into you what people said. If they are not emotionally endowed with stability to read the comments, then you don't need them to do it either, because you don't need someone that you've assigned to handle something, to report back to you on the things that can actually distract you from your craft. You don't need that. Number three, own your decisions. Be driven. Be driven. And when you're driven, you own your decisions. Again, I repeat it. You are leading, not following. Know which end you are coming from. Know which end you are coming from. Are you leading or following? In this particular assignment, you are leading. It is your assignment. Serving in someone else's ministry or in your church, you may be following. And we should have those positions. They humble us and they keep us in a right stance with God. But know when you're on your commission, which end you are leading from. You are leading and not following. So own who you are without apology. But never, ever, ever be an opportunist. Come on, we're on number three. Never, ever, ever be an opportunist. Everyone sees an opportunist. Everyone sees an opportunist. They just don't know that we see them. Everyone sees an opportunist. But at the same time, don't be shying away from opportunity. Never shy away from opportunity. What's the difference between an opportunist and someone who's not shying away from opportunity? The motive of the heart. An opportunist is always thirsty. Come on, that's a common word today. An opportunist is always thirsty, always hungry, never know where their next meal is coming from. So they're like the beggars on the street, never full and always overweight. That's an opportunist. You want to be a driven business person or a driven entrepreneur without having the opportunist heart. Now, I know some of those out there who are just opportunists, they're going to have a comment about this. That means I did my job very well. But a business person, a businesswoman or entrepreneur has regular meals. They have opportunities and they know there's more opportunities out there waiting for them. So what do instead of being an opportunist? You have a business mindset. One, you already are prepared for what it is you're called to do. Two, you've researched your calling, your commission. And three, you're ready when the opportunity presents itself. Let me read to you what an opportunist is. Someone who sees a chance to move on to the next best thing. The next best thing. Doesn't sound too bad yet, right? Let me read this. Someone who immediately takes advantage of a situation to reap some personal benefits. Doesn't sound too bad yet? Let me take it a little clearer for you. An opportunist will use people or step on toes to get what they want. You don't have to be an opportunist. These will be the same people on their broadcasts or their pulpits will preach what God has for me is for me, but yet you're stepping on toes and acting like you don't have a next meal coming. People are already curious about who you are, but keep a safe distance from everyone. Never show anyone all of you. Just enough for the conversation or the business that you are engaging with them on. It's important to be a person who empowers others. There's a demand and there's a supply of that demand. Know which side you are on. Do not let your shame keep you from what people need. Your trial may be the supply for the demand people are needing. Don't be ashamed of what you're producing. I came out of Soul Detox, so I'm able to offer that to people. If I was ashamed of it, I would not have a supply for the demand of what people are going through. This is what supply and demand is in economics. It's the price or value of a commodity of what you have. And the price and the value of that commodity is determined by the interaction of supply and demand in that market. You have what we need. Do not be afraid to offer it to the world. I'm praying for you. I'm supporting you and I'm backing you. I want to leave this scripture here with you. Philippians 2:3. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourself. Philippians 2:4. Not looking to your own interest, but each of you to the interest of others. And lastly, Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through him who gives me strength. And this is our business scripture for the day, Proverbs 22:9. Do you see someone skilled in their work? They will serve before kings. They will not serve before officials of low rank. Know who you are. Know your conscious and unconscious.